All right, so you're prepping for that digital games designer interview. Exciting stuff. We're diving into role catchers guides today to, help you totally nail it. Think of us as your cheat sheet for impressing those interviewers.
What's really cool about this role is it's like this blend of the creative and the technical. You're not just coming up with game ideas, you're crafting layouts, mechanics, and figuring out balance. You even write the specs that developers use.
Okay, let's break this down. The first question RoleCatcher highlights is, can you walk me through your design process? Seems simple enough, but I'm betting there's a lot they're digging for here.
Oh, absolutely. Interviewers want to see you've got a structured approach, not just random bursts of inspiration.
Right.
Think of it like you're an architect presenting blueprints, not just like sketching on a napkin.
Yeah.
Outline those steps you take.
Mm.
From research and ideation to prototyping and testing.
So don't just say, I brainstorm and then make the game.
Got it.
What about those follow-up questions?
Be ready for specifics. They might ask, can you give me a specific example of a time you had to iterate on a game design based on feedback? Or what tools or software do you use?
Yeah.
That's where showing you're familiar with the industry standard software is a big help.
It's like they're peeking right into your toolbox, seeing if you've got the right gear. And speaking of tools, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze job descriptions and suggest which software to mention. Kind of a neat little edge you can get there.
Oh, it is. Now, next question. It's all about staying current. How do you stay up to date with industry trends and advancements?
Makes sense.
This is a fast-moving field. Got to show them you're on top of things.
So mentioning, GDC or Game Developer Magazine is a start, but I bet they want more than just dropping names.
You're right. It's a common mistake, especially with junior designers. Think about it. What are you actively doing to learn? Maybe you're deep in Reddit's game dev subreddit, or maybe you're following specific developers, ones known for pushing boundaries.
So it's about demonstrating that real engagement, not just passive awareness. And this is where I really like how RoleCatcher's AI can tailor your answers. It pulls in recent trends specific to the company you're interviewing with, so you can connect your learning to their actual work.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
Now, a common follow-up here is, what's a recent trend that excites you, and why?
Ooh, good one.
This is your chance to let that passion shine through. But remember, connect it back to the job. Why does this trend make you a better fit for their team?
Okay, so do your research and find that overlap between your interests and their work. Makes sense. What's next on our interview question hit list?
This one tests your adaptability. Can you describe a time when you had to pivot your game design mid-project?
Oh, interesting.
Game development, it's full of unexpected hurdles, right? They want to know you can handle them.
So should I have a project gone wrong story ready to go?
Pick an anecdote where you faced a challenge, adjusted your design, and came out with a positive outcome. But here's the key. Explain your reasoning. Don't just say what you did, but explain why. What factors did you weigh? What did you learn?
So it's like you're showing them you can think on your feet, make smart decisions under pressure. What kind of follow-up might they ask?
They could say, looking back, would you have done anything differently? It's not about admitting failure, though. It's about showing you reflect on those experiences, and you're always looking for improvement.
Right. This reminds me of something from RoleCatcher's Career Guide. They mentioned that even seasoned designers, they're always learning and adapting. It's not about being perfect from the start, but showing you have that mindset for growth.
Exactly. Now, closely related to that is question 4. How do you balance creativity with practicality when designing games?
Good question.
Many junior designers focus too much on those cool mechanics. You got to show those interviewers you get it. That budget, player demographics, even marketing all ties into every design choice.
So I need to come prepared with examples of how I've had to rein in creative ideas for practical reasons. I scrapped this epic boss fight because it would blown the budget and alienated our target audience.
Exactly. That shows you understand. Game development, it's a business, not just a playground for wild ideas. And speaking of tailoring your answers, RoleCatcher's AI can be super helpful here. It can analyze the company's past projects and suggest practical examples you can weave right into your answers.
So it's like having a custom-made cheat sheet for each interview. That's awesome. What's next?
Let's talk platforms. How do you approach designing games for different platforms, such as mobile and PC?
Yeah, totally different beasts.
This one's all about showing you understand those nuances.
Yeah, designing for a tiny phone screen. Totally different from making an immersive PC experience.
Right. You've got to consider everything. Controls, screen size, processing power, player demographics, even monetization strategies. Mobile gamers, they might have different expectations than, hardcore PC players.
Yeah, and monetization's a whole other beast. Free-to-play versus premium pricing.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
it is. A typical follow-up question here could be, if you were designing a puzzle game for both mobile and PC, what key differences would you consider?
Oh, yeah.
This is where you get specific. Show them you've thought about these challenges.
I'm seeing a pattern here. It's not enough to just have that general knowledge. You got to be ready to apply it to those real-world scenarios.
Exactly. It's showing that you can think critically and make informed decisions, not just reciting textbook definitions. Speaking of technical skills, that brings us to question 6. Can you describe your experience with game engines such as Unity or Unreal?
Okay, finally some tech talk. I'm guessing just rattling off every engine I've ever touched won't cut it.
It's a start, but they want to see depth, not just breadth. Focus on the engines most relevant to the job. Highlight specific projects, skills, or even certifications you've got.
Ah, okay. So if they're a mobile game studio that uses Unity, I should emphasize my Unity experience and maybe downplay my Unreal Engine work.
Right. And be ready for comparisons. They might ask, how do these engines compare? Or why would you choose one over the other? You want to show you understand those strengths and weaknesses of each tool.
Got it. So it's not just about knowing how to use the software. It's about understanding when and why to use it. What's next on our interview question journey?
Let's dive into one that gets at your teamwork and conflict resolution skills. Can you describe a time when you had to work with a difficult team member or stakeholder?
Ooh, a behavioral question. I've got a few stories about those difficult colleagues, but I'm guessing they're not looking for gossip.
Definitely not. Choose an example where you can highlight your professionalism and your problem-solving skills. Focus on how you navigated that situation, how you kept communication positive, and reached a good outcome.
So instead of trash-talking my old teammate, I should focus on how I used, clear communication and collaboration to solve the conflict.
Exactly. They're not looking for drama. They want evidence of your maturity and your teamwork skills. And get ready for the follow-up. What did you learn from that experience? It shows self-awareness and a willingness to grow.
Okay, it's all about turning that potentially negative experience into a positive learning opportunity. I like it. What other teamwork-related questions should I be ready for?
Question 8 digs into your decision-making process. How do you prioritize features and content when designing games?
Okay.
Game development, it's all about making tough choices with limited resources.
Yeah, I imagine it's like this constant battle, wanting to include all those cool ideas, but having to prioritize what's really essential for the game to be successful.
Exactly. Explain how you weigh factors like the core gameplay loop, player engagement, that development timeline, budget, and team resources. You want to show you can think strategically and make tough decisions when you need to.
It's like being a captain of a ship, right?
Yeah.
You get this limited crew, limited supplies. You got to make choices about what islands to explore and which to...
Yeah, great analogy. And a common follow-up question there is, what's your approach to cutting features if a project falls behind schedule? Be ready to walk them through that process of making those tough calls.
It's like demonstrating I can be ruthless when I need to be, but also strategic and thoughtful about which features to sacrifice.
Right, finding that balance between your creative vision and those practical constraints. Now, shifting gears a bit. Next question focuses on data-driven design. Can you describe your experience with user research and testing?
Ooh, interesting.
This is where they want to see if you're the kind of designer who gets stuck in their head, or if you're open to feedback from those real players.
Right.
It's about showing you value that data-driven design, and you understand how important it is to making games successful. After all, players are the ultimate judges of your work.
True. So should I talk about specific methodologies I've used, like, play tests or surveys?
Absolutely. Describe your experience with methods like those. Playtests, surveys, A/B testing, analytics. Explain how you gather and analyze that data. But most importantly, how you take that feedback and put it back into your design process.
So it's not just about collecting the data. It's about showing I can actually use that data to make the game better.
Right. A potential follow-up could be, how do you incorporate user feedback into your design iterations? So be ready with specific examples and explain your process for integrating that feedback.
Got it. It's about showing them I'm not just this creative visionary, but also a data-savvy designer who can make informed choices based on player feedback. What else do they want to know?
Let's wrap this section with a question that's getting more and more important in the industry. How do you approach creating games that are accessible to players with disabilities?
Oh, this is huge.
Yeah.
Everyone should be able to enjoy games, regardless of their abilities.
Absolutely. This question, it's all about gauging your sensitivity and your approach to designing inclusive games.
So should I talk about specific accessibility features I've put in my games, like customizable controls or colorblind modes?
Definitely. Mention those specific features you've worked with, like customizable controls, colorblind modes, subtitles, audio descriptions, anything that makes games more accessible to players with various needs.
It's about showing I'm thinking about accessibility throughout that design process, not just tacking it on as an afterthought.
Exactly. And they might even ask you to name a game you admire for its accessibility features, and to explain why. This is your chance to show you're aware of best practices in inclusive design.
Wow, we've covered so much just in this first batch of questions. It's amazing how much depth there is to each one. I'm definitely feeling more prepared, though.
Good to hear. Remember, confidence and passion, those go a long way. And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can help tailor your answers and practice your delivery so you can really shine.
Absolutely, I'm definitely checking out those tools. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture of a digital games designer's career. What are the different stages, and how can our listeners prepare for each one?
Great question. That's something that often gets missed in all that interview prep. Let's explore that. So you aced the interview, landed that first gig. Congrats. Most likely you're starting out as a junior digital games designer.
Okay, so entry level, what's it actually look like day to day?
Think of it as like your apprenticeship. RoleCatcher's Guide points out you'll be helping those senior designers, contributing to layouts, mechanics. It's a lot about learning those ropes,
Yeah.
building those foundational skills.
So less big picture vision and more hands-on learning.
Exactly. You'll be writing those specs for game elements, balancing the gameplay, even putting in those like nitty-gritty numeric properties that make everything work behind the scenes. Plus, tons of research and testing. You're the fresh eyes on those competitor games and prototypes.
I bet that's both exciting and maybe a little humbling.
Hmm.
You come in with all these grand ideas, but you're also doing the grunt work to learn how it all really comes together.
And that foundation is so important. As you gain experience, you'll move up to a mid-level digital games designer. Now things get interesting. You're taking more ownership of that design process, creating those engaging mechanics, even designing entire levels.
More creative freedom, more responsibility. Sounds like a pretty good challenge.
It is. And that collaboration, it becomes even more crucial. You're working closely with the artists, the programmers, the whole team. Plus, you're iterating on designs based on, user feedback. So those data analysis skills we talked about, they become super important.
I see how those early years of research and testing, they really pay off here. You're not just coming up with ideas on your own. You're understanding what players really want and figuring out how to translate that into your design choices.
Now, for many, the top of the mountain is becoming a senior digital games designer. This is where you're not just a designer, you're a leader.
The big leagues. What does it take to get there?
Big picture thinking, leading teams, managing those complex projects. You're defining the project goals, doing the market research, even building those relationships with external partners. Plus, you're the one presenting those designs to the stakeholders. So those communication skills, they're vital.
Wow, it sounds like you need such a diverse skill set to get to that level.
You do. It's that mix of creative vision, technical expertise, business savvy, and leadership skills. But it's also so rewarding to see your ideas come to life and actually influence the whole direction of a game.
It's making me think about how I present myself in the interview, even if I'm applying for a junior role. Maybe hinting at those bigger goals, showing I know what it takes to climb that ladder, could be smart.
That's a great point. It shows that ambition, that you've got that long-term vision for your career. And this is where those RoleCatcher AI tools can come in handy.
How so? I thought those were mainly for, tailoring answers to specific questions.
They can do that, but they can also help you craft your overall interview narrative. Their career guides have these example profiles of digital games designers at different stages. You can see what skills and experience they highlight, even the language they use to describe their work.
So it's like getting a peek into the minds of successful game designers.
Yeah.
And seeing how they've positioned themselves throughout their careers.
Exactly. It can help you shape your story. Present yourself in a way that aligns with those big aspirations.
This is gold. Okay, before we go any further, let's circle back to those interview questions. We covered a lot in the first part of this deep dive, but RoleCatcher has tons more examples, and I want to know how to tackle them. What's next?
Let's look at a classic. What are your favorite games and why? Seems simple, but it's a great chance to show the interviewer what gets you fired up, what you really value in game design.
So it's not just listing the games I love, it's analyzing why.
Precisely. Try to match your picks to the company's games or the genre they're known for. If you're interviewing at a mobile game company, going on and on about your love for complex PC strategy games might not be the best move.
Right, yeah. Gotta tailor that answer to the audience, show my tastes align with their work. What kind of follow-up questions could come from that?
They might ask you to dig deeper into a specific game, or how those games have shaped your own design philosophy. Be ready to talk about those specific elements that make those games great. The story, the mechanics, the art, all of it.
It's like I'm giving them a window into my design brain,
Yeah.
showing them I'm a thoughtful, analytical player.
Exactly. Now let's tackle one that often makes people squirm. What are your salary expectations?
Ugh, the money talk. Always feels so awkward.
It can be tricky, but preparation is key. Do your research. Find the average salary range for digital games designers in your area. And for your experience level, sites like Glassdoor and Salary.com, those can be helpful.
So do my homework. Come in with a realistic range. But what if they press for a specific number? Should I just blurt out the first thing that comes to mind?
Don't panic. Take a breath, give them a range. Emphasize you're flexible and open to discussion. You can say something like, based on my research and experience, I'm looking for a salary between X and Y. But I'm also really interested in learning more about the whole compensation package.
Okay, so it's about knowing my worth, but being open to that negotiation.
Yeah.
And looking at the bigger picture.
Exactly. Remember, it's a two-way street. They're checking you out, but you're checking them out too.
Right. It's about that right fit for both sides.
Yeah.
Speaking of fit, I always come prepared with questions for the interviewer. Shows I'm engaged, curious.
It's essential. Asking thoughtful questions shows your interest in the company, in the role. Think about things that'll help you understand their culture, the team dynamics, the specific project you'd be on, and the opportunities to grow and learn.
So questions that go deeper than just, the basic job description and salary. Like, what's the company's approach to work-life balance? Or what are some of the biggest challenges the team's facing right now?
Excellent examples. And don't be shy about asking about their vision for the future, or how they stay ahead of the curve in such a fast-changing industry.
I'm taking notes. I love how asking questions can really give you that deeper understanding of the company, whether it's a place where you can truly thrive.
Now, let's get you ready for a question that's often dreaded, but also a great opportunity. What are your strengths and weaknesses?
Oh boy, this one always gets me. It's like, am I bragging or am I putting myself down?
The key is honesty and strategy. Pick strengths that matter for the role. Back them up with examples. For weaknesses, pick something you're actively trying to improve.
So strengths, I might say, I'm a super creative problem solver with a real knack for designing engaging gameplay. In my last project, I developed this unique puzzle system and players loved it for its originality and challenge.
Perfect example. You highlighted your strengths, backed it up with evidence. Weakness, you could say, I sometimes get lost in the details and lose sight of the big picture, but I'm working on my time management and prioritization to be more efficient.
Okay, so I'm showing I'm self-aware, committed to growth. It's not pretending to be perfect. It's acknowledging those areas for improvement and showing I'm actively working on them.
And it shows you're open to feedback, willing to learn from mistakes.
Now, the final boss. Why should we hire you?
This is your grand finale. Time to sum it all up. Your skills, your experience, your passion, and lay out why you're the perfect fit for this role, for this company.
It's like my elevator pitch. Should I tie it back to the job description, those specific requirements?
Absolutely. Connect those dots. Explain how your skills and experience match up perfectly with what they need. You could say, I'm confident that my passion for games, combined with my experience, and mention your experience, makes me a strong candidate. I'm especially excited about something specific from the job description, and I believe I can help the team succeed by mention a specific skill or contribution.
Okay, bringing it all together. Show them I've done my research, understand their needs, and I'm confident I can deliver.
Exactly. And don't forget to show your excitement for the opportunity, for the company. That genuine passion, it really makes a difference.
This has been so helpful. I feel like I'm finally starting to get those game designer interviews.
Remember, practice makes perfect. The more you practice those answers, the more confident you'll be when the real deal comes.
And that's where those RoleCatcher AI tools can really help. Practice my delivery, tailor my answers, even get feedback on my overall performance.
Exactly. Like having a personal interview coach right in your pocket.
Okay, before we wrap this deep dive, let's talk about those AI tools one more time. We've mentioned them throughout the episode, but I want to make sure our listeners know exactly how to use them.
Let's break it down.
So we talked about RoleCatcher's AI as this, secret weapon for interview prep. But
Yeah.
what makes it so powerful?
It's all about that personalization and feedback. Remember how we talked about tailoring your answers to each company?
Right.
Well, RoleCatcher's AI, it takes that even further.
So it's more than just suggesting, relevant skills or trends.
Exactly. Their CV resume builder. It doesn't just make your resume look good, it digs into that job description you're going for. It finds those keywords, suggests improvements. It even helps you highlight the experience that's most important for that specific role.
It's like having a resume expert who can also read the interviewer's mind.
Yeah.
No more generic resumes that just get lost in the pile.
Right. And their interview practice feature. That's where it gets really cool. Imagine practicing your answers. Not to a mirror, but to an AI that analyzes every word, even your gestures.
Wait, gestures. It can see me.
Well, not see you, but it analyzes your tone of voice, your pacing, even picks up on things like, filler words or hesitant pauses. It's like a mock interview with a robot coach who's brutally honest.
So it's not just what you say, but how you say it. That's something I'd never think to practice on my own.
Most people don't. That's why it can be such a game changer. It helps you polish that delivery, project that confidence, even suggest stronger ways to phrase your answers.
I get why people are loving RoleCatcher. It's like leveling up your interview skills in a video game.
Exactly. And the best part, you can practice anytime, anywhere. No need to schedule those mock interviews with friends or mentors.
Okay, RoleCatcher is officially on my must-try list. But before we send everyone rushing off to their website, let's recap what we learned today about acing those digital games designer interviews.
Yeah, we went through a lot. We looked at common interview questions, learned how to tackle them strategically, even got some insights into the career path itself.
If you're feeling overwhelmed, don't sweat it. Remember, confidence and passion, those are your biggest weapons. Show that interviewer you're excited about games, ready to learn, and you're up for any challenge.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher's there to help you every step of the way. Their guides, those tools, and those AI features, they can really be a game changer in your job hunt.
Absolutely. Head over to RoleCatcher, check out their stuff, and get ready to design some amazing games.
And as you design those games, think about the impact you want to make. Games can entertain, educate, inspire. What's your legacy going to be?
That's a powerful thought to leave our listeners with. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. Until next time, keep learning, keep creating, and keep playing.